I have to update my bingo card and not in a way I wanted to, so that's kind of a bummer. Regardless, though, hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1178, Waking from a Nightmare. But the art this week is a nightmare of its own, as Eustace Kid is being chased by a vicious bull, as the bull has mistaken his red cape for, obviously, bullfighting cape. So it charges after him. Fun fact about bulls, I believe a Mythbusters did this. It is not the fact that it is red that makes a bull charge. It is actually the fact that it is motion that is making the bull charge. So a bullfighter could technically use any kind of cape, any color would actually do the trick, but it's actually just red is what is associated due to, I assume, how the bullfighters dressed. I don't actually know the lore behind the color choice, but that's actually, something that has been tested, and bulls will actually charge at anything that moves. So keep that in mind if you are trying to get away from a bull and you want to distract it. So enough about that, though. Let's move into the actual chapter itself, which starts off with Luffy dropping Brook and Usopp off with the rest of the crew as he tells them take care of them. They've been injured. That guy is, causing some serious trouble, and I'm about to go lay a beat down. And Frankie asks him, do you need any backup? Like, should the rest of us come with you? And he goes, yeah, honestly, right now, I think we're fine. If I need you, I'll call, which is really mature of Luffy. Luffy's not against asking for help when he needs it, and I really appreciate that about him. But for now, I mean, have you seen Loki? Have you seen Luffy? It's not like they need backup right now. But if they do, Luffy's not too proud to call. As Luffy's running off, he tells them, though, for now stay back because Loki's getting reckless. And Sanji points out, coming from Luffy, that's actually pretty terrifying, so good luck. So the two of them are running, Luffy runs off to help Loki, and Loki is blasting his lightning at Emu, who is currently in Gunko. But as Loki states while fighting, this target's too small. He's just blasting, and it's like, just the equivalent of trying to hit a gnat. Not a mosquito, a gnat, which is even smaller. But as this happens, Luffy catches up, and Emu decides to pull out his trump card right off the gun. We all knew it was coming. Everybody had the theory. Emu juts out of Gunko in his big noodly ghost form thing that he does, and he touches Loki's forehead, and he touches Luffy's forehead. And let me look up the exact wording on what he called it. Yes, so he calls it the Diabolical Covenant. Now there was the deep sea, or there was the Shallows contract, the deep sea contract, and then the deep sea contract, or the abyssal contract, depending on what translation you're using. But this is the Diabolical Covenant, which I can only assume means it is I am making a contract with you whether you like it or not. This is not your choice to make. And so he touches Luffy's forehead with it, and he touches Loki's forehead, and he tells them, in exchange for a part of your lifespan, I shall grant you incredible power, but this will come at the price that you two must now hate each other. Dami Reversi. And you see Luffy, and you see Loki, and the two of them just kind of... Why would we do that? That's stupid. We both want to beat you up. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. It's yeah. So the two of them just start wailing on him. Actually, we do have a moment where Emu isn't surprised. Actually, as his noodles come back to him, he says, "Huh? Yeah, no, Loki, Needhog. I guess I shouldn't have thought that was going to work because the two of you are..." As Luffy hits him with the Dawn Gatling, and then Loki shrinks down to his normal... Shrinks down is such a silly thing to say with Loki, considering how big he is. But he shrinks down to his normal size, and he says, okay, all right, Ragnar, let's do this. And the squirrel turns into the hammer, and Loki just freezes him solid. So we get this big ice cube that is just... Gunko with like Emu squirted out of her, and he's just frozen there with holes in him from Luffy's Gatling. And the ice block hits the ground, and Luffy's like, huh, That's a pretty good finisher, Loki. Okay, I'm done. And he turns into his little old man form that happens when he's done using Gear 5th, and Loki sits down in front of the ice block, and he's, that's a weird form for you, Luffy, but other than that, I can't believe we were afraid of this. Actually, neither of them were afraid, but he's like, I really was expecting a bigger fight. So the two of them, they did it! The day is saved. Luffy and Loki have defeated Emu, and One Piece is just a cakewalk from here on out. I'm sure Luffy will ride on Loki's back as the two of them fly over to wherever Blackbeard is. They will just defeat him completely and utterly. And I'm really... Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, how did Shanks beat Loki? But the problems on Elbaf are not done. There's still tons of fires to put out. We got Jinbei throwing his ocean currents. We got Nami and Zeus raining on everyone. Lilith even remarks that, her devices only have so much charge in them, so she can only take out as much as well. The giants report in from all the different villages of this fire's being put out, this fire's done. There's no sign of enemies anymore. Loki destroyed all the monsters, but most of this is just going to be dealing with the aftermath of his attacks. And as everything seems to be going well, we even cut to the library that was on fire as Robin and Saul are looking around, and all the books are gone. Like, there was definitely a raging inferno in here, as Saul puts it, but all the books are gone. And Biblo is nowhere to be seen, the owl. So the best case scenario, because Robin and Saul are only speculating here, the best case scenario is that Biblo shrunk all the books, scooped them all up, and flew away. I don't know if that's something he can do. I don't know if that's something he thought to do. I actually don't know how smart this owl is. If he's anything like the other owl librarian that I saw in an animated series, he's pretty dang smart. But that was an Avatar. That owl knew 10,000 things, as said his title. We don't know how many things Biblo knows. Maybe he only knows to, eat corn chips and look up the books, But with that, the fires are mostly taken care of, and then we see there's only a few giants left that have been Domi reversied. Zoro and the others have been going to town on them, taking them out one by one. And these three last ones, they're getting up and they're ready to fight because obviously they're demons. They don't care. And Chopper runs up in his monster point and just slaps him in the back of the head. And then they fall over and they Domi reversi, and Zoro's like, what? And Chopper goes, yeah, it's the crazy, because he's in Monster Point, that's the voice. He goes, yeah, it's the craziest thing. I just slap them and then they're not demons anymore. and Zoro's sitting there like, you know what? That makes sense, because you're a really good doctor. It's a flawless line. And obviously, being Chopper, he's like, oh, you're just saying that. That's just you're just buttering me up. And it's solid logic here. So I do want to touch on this because there's a theory going around that Chopper is the forest god. I really hope that the human fruit Chopper ate isn't a mythical zone. But there are 3 other human fruits we've seen throughout the series. One turns you into a giant Buddha. One turns you into a sun god. And the third one turns you into a transforming monk. All 3 turn an animal into a mythical kind of human being. It's quite possible that Chopper does have some kind of mythical zone that turns him into a forest deity or a dryad of some sort or what have you. But I kind of just want the human fruit to be the human fruit. I mean, what's wrong with it being the base model? If it turns out he is like the forest god or something, that's okay too. I'm okay with that, because I'm going to remind you all of basically the story of Drum Kingdom. If you remember, all the way back, although if you watch the One Piece live action, this is actually something you just saw, it actually was stated by the people of Drum Island that somewhere on the island was a mushroom that could cure any disease. Now, Chopper misunderstood that. He grabbed the Amiodrake mushroom, gave it to Hero Luke, and that's how that all thing went down. But if the rumors were true, if the legends were correct, that in the land of medicine, the greatest island of medical expertise, there was a mushroom that could cure any disease, isn't it possible that maybe someone ate that mushroom because that mushroom was a devil fruit? Because the human fruit looks like a mushroom? If Chopper ate it, and Chopper is true to his word to Dr. Kureha that I will become the medicine that cures everything, Chopper might be the mythical zone fruit, human fruit model, insert deity that heals here. I actually would have to do some research on that, learn a little bit of more mythology. I don't know who the god of healing is in like Greek mythology or something, but it's entirely possible. So that's my little rant about it. There is clear foreshadowing if it turns out this is the case, because if you remember, One Piece was originally going to be a 5-year-long story, so if Oda was foreshadowing Chopper's abilities within the first 200 chapters, and we were supposed to end the story around, chapter 400, then Chopper being revealed to be this powerful thing wouldn't have been such a long stretch. A lot of people were like that, myself included, when the Gum Gum fruit was revealed to be a mythical zone, mostly because I like the Paramecia class. I don't want mythical zones to just overshadow them, because that is what the mythical zone class is. It is just zone-type devil fruits with Paramecia powers. They're just better. But enough about this rant. Let's wrap up the chapter, because we see Sanji and Frankie, they're holding Killingham. He's still ahead, and well, he's not ahead. He is a head. He's not ahead of them. And they're just talking like, it's kind of hard to believe this guy was a threat. And Sanji says, yeah, they really did get the drop on all of us. Because if they had just like shown up, made a big deal about it, we would have taken them out. These guys can't win in a head-on fight. And Frankie goes, I mean, to give him credit, no offense, guy who we are literally holding by the head, there were just 3 of them. It's not like we were in an all-out war against their whole group. I don't know. There's like, 12 of you? Killingham. Oh, it's a little unclear, actually. I think maybe there's a bunch of us. The silhouette could have been a correct number, but you know how Oda is. Yeah, it's true. That is how Oda is. Anyways, there could be any number of them, Sanji. So, to be fair, it was 3 guys against the entirety of Elbaf. They didn't know that the sun god Nika was going to be here on top of that. So, yeah, the 3 of you kind of out of commission. One of you is ahead. One of you is frozen in a block of ice. It's almost as if Oda's trying to distract. Where's Sommers? And yeah, it turns out Sommers is not defeated. He's got his heart's thumping. He's in 2 halves of his head, and he clomps his head back together, and he's slowly but surely regenerating, and he's not a class A threat. He's not even B tier, really. Now that we know fire eliminates his thorns, what we got? Luffy knows how to use fire. Sanji knows how to use fire. Frankie breathes fire. Zoro can cut using fire thanks to Kinemon's techniques that he learned. Nami can make lightning, which basically produces fire. Let's see. Jinbei, no. Jinbei's water type. Chopper, no. Usopp has fire. So that's, what, 6. So, yeah, there are 4 members of the crew who Sommers actually has a slight advantage against. So, yeah, he's not a threat, but it's annoying that he's alive because I have to change my, dang it, my bingo card goes back down 1. So with that, the enemies are basically defeated, except we see that inside the block of ice, Emu vanishes. And Emu reappears in the Holy Land in his butterfly room, and he says, 5 elders. And the elders say, what is it, Lord Emu, as they call him on the phone. He says, listen, I'm going to be out of the house for a bit. He hangs up. Emu says he is leaving the Holy Land, which implies that possessing Gunko, possessing Saturn, was not Emu at full power. I want to say it again. Rox, Newgate, Kaido, Linlin, Garp, all of these guys wailed on Emu at the same time. Roger was there too. They wailed on him. And he didn't die. And that wasn't his full potential. My guess is Emu is going to Elbaf. There doesn't seem to be any other way to say it. There is a demonic circle there, so he can teleport to Elbaf himself very easily. I think we are about to see what we are supposed to be afraid of. But let me know in the comments below. Do you think there is a different location that Emu is going to go to? Do you think Sommers is actually going to be a threat? Do you think they're going to put Killingham in a box? Or do you think they're just going to keep him around for lovely conversation? Because they haven't put him in a box yet. And as we saw with Frankie, it's not that hard for him to build something quickly. So I think they actually just kind of like him. Maybe they'll keep him like a goldfish. Regardless, though, thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.